So there have been quite a few theories about Spriggan 12 members joining Fairy Tail at the end of this arc, Larcade or Rakid being the biggest topic as of late. But there is one Spriggan 12 member that is far more likely to join Fairy Tail, and that is Brandish. This green-haired beauty is known for her insane magic which can turn whole islands to tiny specks if she feels like it. But she's actually really innocent at heart. Out of all Spriggan 12 members, she is without doubt the one who's got the least interest in this war at this point in the manga. Brandish's loyalty to Zeref for taking care of her since he was little is most likely what's keeping her at his side. But I believe things that's happened recently in the manga might actually cause her to go away from Zeref very soon, if she hasn't already. To maybe, enter Fiore's side, join Fairy Tail, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so I'm going to bring up all the reasons why Brandish will join Fairy Tail at the end of this arc. Firstly, when Brandish and Lucy has an encounter in Lucy's apartment, we find out that Brandish has some beef with Lucy because of their parents. Brandish pretty much tries to kill Lucy right off the bat by shrinking down the whole building, but Lucy manages to get out in time. Later, when Brandish is in lockup after Kana knocks her out cold, her own follower, Marin, tries to have her killed by choking her out. I believe this to be the beginning of Brandish's turn to the light, if you want to call it that. The betrayal of the one she called ally, even if she may have mistreated him slightly. Brandish and Lucy later begin to talk of their mothers, Layla and Grammy. Here Brandish claims that Layla is the one responsible for having Brandish's mother killed after being given the Aquarius key. He then goes on to attack Lucy silently by covering Lucy's mouth as well as restraining her limbs. Do keep in mind that at this point in the manga, she wasn't willing to switch side. When she tries to kill Lucy, you can see Brandish crying because she doesn't want to harm Lucy. She's just hell-bent on avenging her own mother. That is when Aquarius makes her appearance out of nowhere. This is where one of Brandish's biggest turning points start. So Aquarius points out to Brandish that Layla would never kill Brandish's mother. Not in a million years, in fact. Aquarius then transports the three of them to the memory of the stars, where she claims everything you see is the absolute truth. The truth Brandish is shown is that the key wasn't taken from her mother. Instead, the mother offered to give Lucy the key once Layla was gone. Once Brandish's mother leaves Layla's house, they are shown the reality of her death. Another disciple of Layla's was responsible for taking her life. After that memory is finished, Lucy offers to be friends with Brandish, but we're still a way off before Brandish becomes friendly enough to join forces with Fairy Tail, so keep listening. When Natsu shows up at the brink of death, Brandish sees Lucy crying, and she offers to save his life by shrinking the tumor down to a non-factor. And I ask, what enemy would do that? A few chapters later in the manga, when Natsu has defeated Jacob, Brandish warns Fairy Tail about August and goes on to warn them about Eileen Belzerion as well. Brandish finally agrees to help Fairy Tail to try and negotiate peace with the one they call August, mostly because Brandish herself has a pretty close connection with him. We of course know that this goes pretty sideways in the end, since Mest fucks up pretty badly, to say the least. Later on, much later in fact, when Brandish grabs Natsu and Lucy away from Grey and Invo, we get some interesting dialogue. Brandish agrees with Lucy that she doesn't want to fight them, but she also says she has no interest in betraying her homeland. But trust me, very soon I think that's going to change. The reason why I still believe Brandish will end up turning to Fiore is because Dimaria overhears Brandish spare Natsu and Lucy. For those who for some reason don't know or don't remember, Dimaria and Brandish are super close to each other. You might say they're best friends among the Spriggan 12, and Dimaria is turning an evil eye towards Brandish right now. Also, when Nineheart appears before them, he actually attacks Brandish when concluding that she's betrayed the 12. This is where things get real interesting, because Natsu steps between Brandish and Nineheart and saves Brandish's life by bringing down Nineheart with a single strike. Now, although Brandish may not show it, she is starting to turn towards Fairy Tail rather than Alvarez. After this happens, Brandish realizes resizes Natsu's tumor to show that she still has a play against him despite his power. However, that is when Dimaria enters the fray and explains to Lucy that if Brandish wanted to kill Lucy and Natsu, she could simply blow them up from the inside by enlarging their organs. This is why I think Brandish is still turning to the light, despite the fact that she says otherwise. That's when Dimaria makes a killer move on Brandish by slicing her up good. Of course, we know that she isn't dead because she's not healed, I think. Well, maybe, but she resizes her wounds. She shrinks them down effectively after Dimaria has taken Natsu and Lucy away to her torture chamber effectively. We then have to go forward a bit to when Natsu goes berserk and one-shots Dimaria, because that's when Brandish, Happy, Poryolushka, and Evergreen arrives where Lucy is. Brandish once again gives advice to Fairy Tail to bind Dimaria with anti-magic cuffs or whatever. Some may argue it's for her own sake, but I think otherwise, obviously. Brandish says something very interesting in chapter 504, and that is, I am able to shrink wounds to such small sizes, and yet I am unable to shrink my own doubts or lessen my uncertainty in the slightest. Could this be her talking about her allegiance to Alvarez? Is she starting to question her loyalty after seeing her own friend attempt to murder her? I think so. That's all Brandish material we have so far in the manga, sadly. And I stand firm on my theory that Brandish will give up her loyalty to Alvarez and join Fairy Tail, because throughout this arc we have seen some weird shit from Brandish. She's been going back and forth a lot. One moment she's with Alvarez and the other she wants to help Fairy Tail. But the biggest turning point to me is her dialogue, as I mentioned above. I think she has doubts about her Alvarez position, really. After all, two Spriggan have declared her a traitor now, Nineheart as well as Dimaria. Anyway, that is all for today's video. Let me know what you guys think about this theory on Brandish turning towards Fiore and joining Fairy Tail. And if you did, please like this video and subscribe if you want to see more Fairy Tail content. Bye.